zones. How many people would, during when COVID first struck, remember going to the grocery store and the shelves were bare? I'm hearing they're bare again. I feel like we're in communism with the empty store shelves, and I don't like that at all. We should have learned from that, and we need to bring manufacturing back to Arizona. So this resiliency zone, yes, I agree.
And the rest of the country, and pharmaceuticals.
And the rest of the country. She knows exactly where I'm going with this.
I do.
We have the space for it. Let's bring manufacturing back to Arizona. Let's encourage people who want to bring manufacturing to settle here, hire Arizonans. Let's start producing pharmaceuticals, and let's start with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Please. I remember when I was trying as a journalist to get information out about hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and this was at a time when you got canceled if you did that. Some of the nasty people down at the Arizona Repugnant, which is what I call it now, they would write me up and write nasty articles about how I was trying to, kill people by spreading this, fake information. And look who's right. Not them. They're the ones who actually have blood on their hands. They knew that there were studies out there that showed this works, and I think we're about to have somebody come out and talk to us about that, so I won't go into full detail. But think about what would have happened if we would have just had these inexpensive drugs, maybe even made in Arizona, available to everyone. We wouldn't have had to close our businesses down. We wouldn't have had to close our churches and schools down. We didn't have to anyway, but we wouldn't have had relatives die and friends die. So we're going to get to the bottom of this, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who have blood on their hands when this is over and we figure it all out. I just want you to know I'm running for governor, not for the fame and fortune. There's no fortune in running for governor or politics if it's done honestly. If you're getting rich and have 3 mansions after you become a politician like Joe Biden, there's a really good chance you're not an honest person. So I'm doing this because I'm a mom. I'm the wife of a small business owner. I'm ready to fight for Arizona. I want to fight the corrupt media, and I will do that, and I have been doing that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that later this week when I'm going to have the fake news media interview me. I'm looking forward to that. So we laugh about the media, but I believe it is one of the biggest threats to our country right now. And I'm not exaggerating. And I want to take them on. So I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. I know we have some questions and we have another speaker, so I'd love to start with some questions if anybody has any. Ma'am?
How can you respond to the negative ad that's shown on the TV about you?
The negative ads, I think it's really...
On Trump.
Negative ads on Trump?
That you were not a supporter of. You were not a supporter.
Oh my gosh, where's my husband? My husband's my second favorite man. I'm just putting it that way right now. As a journalist, you don't speak about your support for candidates. I supported President Trump privately from the minute he came down that escalator. I am a huge Trump supporter. I got an interview, I interviewed him twice, and he trusted me as a fair journalist who wasn't gonna just try to mince his words and turn it into a hate piece. So I did a good job that he knew that I was a fair journalist. I have always supported President Trump privately, but you don't put that out there as a journalist and tell people publicly who you're supporting.
So maybe you could come back with an ad now telling us that's not true.
I think it's really interesting, and it shows how nervous the establishment, and by that I mean some of my opponents are, that they're running ads a year out, spending more than $100,000, maybe a couple $100,000 to run ads. The polling for our candidacy, and I say our because it's not mine, it's us. I'm running for the people of Arizona. It's so massive. They're so far behind that they're spending their money now because they know it might be game over pretty soon. And so I should be flattered that they're running ads, but they're calling me fake Lake and things like that. Anybody who knows me knows I'm one of the most authentic people. I mean, I've been on TV for 27 years. I feel that I know the people of Arizona. And I think what they did is they did research and found out that people trust me, they like me, and that I'm a very approachable person and I care deeply about people. And so they just say the opposite, hoping to peel off some of our support. But I believe people are onto it. They know when they see these attack ads, it's usually the opposite of what they're saying is true. And please, when you're watching the media, take that same stance. The opposite of what CNN says is true. Just say whatever it is, it's opposite day with CNN. So I should be flattered. Our polling, depending on the pollster, we're anywhere between, I don't know, the lowest one was 18 to 25, 27 points up. And they're nervous. And that's good. They should be nervous because we're going to take our government back. We're going to, after we fix our elections and we restore them, we're going to audit our government and find out where the waste is and where the corruption is. So they should be very nervous because we're not bringing the same old in. We're not bringing the bureaucrats in. We're going to bring in the best person for the job to help solve our problems, much like President Trump did in the federal government. Unfortunately, he was dealing with a very deep swamp and there weren't a lot of honest people in DC at the time. Any more questions? What's my position on defund the police? I am for fully funding the police. I appreciate our law enforcement. I've always been a supporter of them. And we actually just, was about a month ago, maybe less, had a rally across the street at Frontier Town, a Back the Blue rally. And it was really, anybody here show up for that?
Yes.
That was a great night, wasn't it?
Oh, incredible.
And I put some of my plans for the police. I want to start an Arizona initiative. And it's funny because Ron DeSantis talked about this today, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. I want to start attracting some of the police officers who are great officers, leaving places like Portland, Chicago, the blue cities and blue states. They're great people. Wouldn't they love to come here in this paradise and work in a state that supports law enforcement? And so we need to make grant money available to do that. We are seriously and dangerously understaffed right now in almost all of our police departments and DPS as well. And so we need to fix that. And I think our police officers should get a raise. I mean, DPS right now, yes, I agree. I agree with that. DPS right now, we spend $200,000 to train a DPS trooper. We pay them $79,000 at their max. And that isn't even close to what Colorado and Texas pay. So they end up leaving or going to another agency. We have to spend another $200,000 to train them. We'd actually save money if we paid these men and women what they're worth. And I know they're not doing it for the money. You ask any police officer or member of law enforcement, they do it because they love their community and they love to help. But we should be paying them what they're worth. Any other questions? Way in the back, I think I saw a hand. You have to yell.
You were talking a lot about restoring our elections, getting the integrity in our elections. Our concern right now is the next election, what do we do? If they don't fix this now, we have no chance of moving forward with, in not just our local elections, but the national elections,
Right.
et cetera. I mean, we've proven, it's clear we've proven there was fraud.
Agree.
Nothing happens. I get requests day in and day out, donate to this so we can hold them accountable. Well, tell me, who's been held accountable for anything? Nothing happens.
Right. The Democrats commit all these atrocities, I call them. I mean, I think stealing an election is an atrocity, and they never are held accountable. They will be with me, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying, what about the next election? There have been some minor changes made that will shore things up, but thank God President Trump had such huge amount of support that it really made them cheating. They had to work a lot harder at it to cheat, which exposed a lot of the problems. And I think we're going to have a red wave. But of course, when we're Republicans, we have to win by this much more in order to show an official win like this. So we're going to have to get out in this next election in massive, just go out in mass and vote. We have to get everyone to vote. The CNN and the left trying to say President Trump's telling us not to vote is a lie. We need to get out and vote. We need to get everybody out and vote because we need to win by a mile in order for the official tally to show we won by an inch. And that didn't fix the problem, but there have been some minor changes. I'm told from our lawmakers that this next session they're going to push for some more changes. All eyes are going to be on how this election goes, and I think there's going to be more poll watchers that are keenly aware of how they've been cheating. So I think if we show up in mass with huge amounts of conservatives and Republicans and just plain old moms and dads who care, who might even be independent, and Democrats who are peeling off and coming over, they're going to have a hard time cheating that much this next election because our eyes are wide awake. People are being forced out of their jobs. And I think by the time the election rolls around, we are going to be in the middle of a recession. And we're going to be seeing stagflation, massive inflation. And I think people will be definitely out voting and voting for a change. They may have an impossible time to cheat that much, to hold back what's coming their way. And then when I'm elected, that will be our priority. We're not going to move on other things until we get this election fixed. We have to. And we have to fix everything. One day, one ballot per legal voter, smaller precincts. These are some of the recommendations, by the way, from the people who really have studied this. Hand counting, and you could have the results by 9 p.m. So it is possible. And we don't count